right now I'm gonna keep on talking about my comparison of the OneXPlayer against the Steam Deck. In the previous video, I focused mainly on the OneXPlayer, and now I'm gonna switch over to the Steam Deck. So there might be some parts that I could repeat some points, like I might have to re-emphasize parts that I think really makes that difference between the two devices. I might have to give more emphasis on some points, and maybe I might need to clarify some aspect if the first video I did not get my thoughts well across. So please be patient, and maybe I'll find an audience. I'll try to be, as laid back as possible, and I hope I don't put people to sleep, but but maybe if it does, maybe if it helps, like maybe that's awesome. Maybe the way I talk through things could put people to sleep. I mean, that could give you some much needed rest, maybe, who knows. So yeah, I got my Steam Deck very recently, actually just a few days ago, and I actually got my OneXPlayer beforehand. I mean, obviously the marketing and the mass appeal is totally different. I mean, who knows about the OneXPlayer? I don't think much people, like even myself, it took a while for me to actually realize there's such device out there. But the Steam Deck, I heard about it long time ago when the device went on pre-order. I ordered within the first, I think, 15 minutes or something. Like I was in the Q2 batch, and I don't know if, I guess you can call it Q2 now, and I received it just a few days ago. And I honestly, overall, I really love my Steam Deck. Right, like just like anybody else, and especially I'm a big fan of handheld gaming, so holding that Steam Deck, it's just sweet, it's just awesome. It's like, I guess it's everything that people say, the good part, everything people say it is. But I guess some of this magic was taken a bit away because I actually received my OneXPlayer first. And if you watch the first video, I did kind of praise the OneXPlayer over the Steam Deck. And this video would be more an emphasis on the Steam Deck's perspective, and like I'm just holding on my hand right now, like I'm just focusing on it, and I would talk about everything I see, and I would also try to talk about it from a very personal perspective, right? Because like as I said in the first video, I don't want to definitely go over every spec out there. I mean, there's very well edited and very well explained tech review videos out there that gives you a very good overview as to what the device is capable of. A lot of benchmarks. I mean, for me, I'm not really a benchmark kind of guy. I don't remember the last time I ran a benchmark ever. I just like the experience to be good, right? I guess you can call me casual like that, but a casual hardcore gamer, can you say that? I don't know, but for me, it's just like, I like to game mainly on the console. I mean, I have a very powerful gaming PC. I have a 12900K FK or KF. I don't know. I think it's with the integrated graphics, but with a 3090, I have 64 gigs of RAM. So yeah, I think you can call it a high-end gaming PC. But I mean, there's always something magical about handheld devices. I don't know, for some reason, I really, since I was a kid, like, I mean, I started playing on the Game Boy. I do like holding a game in my hands. Like, I don't know why. Like, it's just, I like the experience of it, because it's not just what's happening on the screen. It's how your input, your hand movement translate your input, how it translates to the screen. If it's, when it's done right, it feels like, I mean, it is immersive, but like, it feels like you're really in control, right? Like that's why I'm not very much of a PC gamer as much, because I mean, the competitive scene where people playing the games, like they swear by mouse keyboard control. I mean, obviously it's better aim. I mean, I do play games on keyboard and mouse too, but there's something missing there. It's missing that connection I was talking about. Like, it's so hard to explain. I guess all these years playing it, like games, like, just at least from my opinion, my perspective, I like to hold a controller that's specifically built, right, that for that experience. And that's why mainly I play on my PlayStation 5 right now and on my Series X. I mean, Series X a bit less, especially with these devices coming out. Like, but yeah, like I do like playing on the console more. So just to get that out of the way, like, I mean, I'm not a benchmark kind of guy. I just like a good experience. Okay, so especially, honestly, if I want to be a bit more extreme, seeing the benchmarks makes me not want to play the game, because like I feel like it's distract from the experience. Like, I'm playing Elden Ring. Like, I want to get into the world of Elden Ring. What I don't want to look at is the frame per second on the top left corner of my screen, right? So I guess I really can, I guess I can call it, I'm a casual hardcore gamer, I guess you can say that. So yeah, okay, so let's get back to topic, okay? For me, the Steam Deck, it's a really good first iteration from Valve. The ergonomics, like the way that it just forms into my hands, like the first time I hold it, like I mean just like some people that I see online, like they said that looking at the placement of the buttons and the sticks, like it's strange. It's definitely not conventional, but you know, they still like it, right? Like I can say that from my experience, I also like it. Like I also just like almost everything. Like I hold it just feels awesome on my hands. Like honestly, like on my Switch, I have a Switch OLED as well. And I really don't like the Joy-Cons. I switched them out. I bought this, like I forgot what it's called, but like I have this other grip. Actually, the entire controller, it's like from this third-party maker, and I mean the vibration motor there is shit, but yeah, that's besides the point. But I just needed a good ergonomic. I need to grip it, and I feel like I'm holding something that, I mean, I don't have to worry about it when I'm playing my game. Like I don't want to feel like I'm trying to do something with my hands. Like it wraps on my hand. It feels great. I can reach all the buttons. So the first impression was really good, to be honest. So I turned on my Steam Deck, you know, and I got greeted by the logo and through the setup, and I feel like, man, like again, I mentioned this on the other video, this kind of weird disconnect that PC Master Race gamers have. I mean, I've nothing against them because I have a powerful PC myself, so I'm actually part of it. But there always this kind of war between the console gamers and the PC Master Race shitting on the console players because of the specs. They enjoy playing your game on 30 FPS or whatever crap, like, or your I don't know, like just that same kind of this kind of shit talk that they, you know, people throw at each other. I don't mind it. I think it's fun, but I just find it funny when the Steam Deck came out and all these PC fanboys, right? They just came in and be like, oh, they praise it. But honestly, this is the most console experience thing ever. The Steam Deck. It's very polished, almost Apple-like. I guess a lot of these PC guys also don't like Apple, but I mean, I own all the iPhones and stuff, and honestly, it's a very polished experience. So if you guys enjoy the Steam Deck setup, the Steam OS, welcome to software and hardware integration. They like to, if they want, they can call it PC on your hands or whatever they want to call it, but to me, that's a console. Like the experience, the Steam Deck is a console experience. Yeah, very not similar to the OneXPlayer where you just boot up straight to Windows. So I would actually call it the OneXPlayer the truer PC experience. Yeah, so I went through the setup. I think that it was very smooth. One thing I noticed, like, I mean, I guess this is one of the first firmware that was installed. There's some cracking audio issues. I mean, I didn't really research anything on it, but as soon as I finished the installation, they asked to install the firmware, also the latest software, like, you know, the systems, and after it was asking me to install the firmware, and then that just rectified the cracking sound that I had. But all this was very painless. It was a very smooth experience. So in terms of how I compared this to the OneXPlayer, I would like the systems. I mean, there's no system software on the OneXPlayer. It's really just Windows. So obviously, all of us are familiar with Windows. Like, it's very easy to install Steam. I can install Game Pass on it. I can install the EA Origin software, whatever that I need to install so that I can play some of the EA Play games. I also installed the Epic Games Store on it. So on the OneXPlayer, it was very easy for me to do that. It's just Windows. Whereas on the Steam Deck, I can't do any of that right now. I mean, I can. I mean, technically, if the PC guys wants to come at me, yes, you can. But I mean, their drivers are not really optimized and it's not completed right now. So I rather just keep it as a native experience, the way that Valve intended, the way that Gaben intended, I guess, and just play my games on the Proton layer. And the cool thing about it, honestly, I mean, I'll just go over the stuff I really like about it. Like the cool thing about it is because if you watch the first video, I mentioned some of the games. It doesn't work well on my version of the OneXPlayer because I have the Iris video card and the drivers are not really well supported. I mean, Intel's working on it, but it's really not the best compared to NVIDIA and AMD drivers. So the games that was not working on my OneXPlayer, like Metal Gear Revengeance, it just works. And Max Payne 2, it just works. It works awesomely on the Steam Deck. So yeah, I've been playing a bit of that. Another thing that I really like, I was saying, it's when I was talking about the way you grip on the device, it just works. But also the weight, right? It was a heavy complaint that I have on the OneXPlayer. I feel like the size, if I put it right on top of each other, like they're about the same width. The OneXPlayer and the Steam Deck has about the same width, but the weight, it feels like half as heavy. So it's definitely way more comfortable to hold long term. Pretty slim profile compared to the Steam Deck. Like the OneXPlayer is thick, like really thick. The grip is really good, like I was saying. Like it has like buttons on the back, all of them. It just, I don't know, like it's just really well thought out. Like I would say that ergonomic wise, the Steam Deck really wins over the OneXPlayer. So that's a big factor, right? So it's really, if this was not well made, like if the ergonomic side, if the buttons, the joysticks are not well made, I definitely would have not kept mine. I would have sold it. Like on eBay right now, it's selling at a huge markup, like I mean for resellers. So I definitely wouldn't mind selling my unit. Like if it's really because of the console-like experience and the ergonomics that I think that I would keep the Steam Deck. And the compatibility, it's very surprising that on the Proton layer, I mean, it works better than on Windows, on my other machine, on the Iris video card. Like I'm really just surprised about that. Okay, so one thing that's really, I mean, very different, and it's those touchpads. I have some good and bad to say about those little touchpads. I mean, people generally, it seems like they don't really like it from what I've seen on the review. I mean, they do what they meant to do, but honestly, like because of the placement and all that, I actually think that it's much needed. It's definitely a nice improvement, like from the experience wise, over the OneXPlayer with the kind of shitty joysticks. And I mean, you have to imagine navigating through Windows with that joystick. It's with huge dead zone. It's a bit aggravating, like because of my gamer thumb. I'm able to navigate through it, but I can see like if people are not tech savvy, like yeah, they definitely would have to connect like a mouse and keyboard on it. But with the Steam Deck, on the other hand, because it's not running Windows yet, like the touchpad is obviously a bit limited right now in its functionality, but I really like the haptics. Honestly, that's one thing I forgot to mention on the first video. I was kind of jumping through my thoughts and I forgot to mention the vibration motor on the OneXPlayer. Also, it's pure crap. Like I wish that either they didn't put it or they put something like maybe instead of on the OneXPlayer, instead of, if they don't want to do haptics, maybe they should have improved the sound. Like that's another thing I didn't talk about. They should have put like some kind of a mini subwoofer, like some kind of thing to cause heavy punchy bass. So when you play games that has a kind of lower sound, at least you'll feel some vibration caused by the sub. I think that would have been better than the shitty motors that they use. The vibration motor is so crap. Like it feels like either 0 or 100%. So it's like if you ever hold like an electric toothbrush or something, it's like that. It's like I have to find ways to just shut that off, like almost in every game that make use of that. Like it's so jarring. It's like it takes you off the experience. So that's one thing I really have to commend the Steam Deck. Its haptics is way better. Again, a very console-like experience. After, I'm sure like they play with the Switch a lot and some of the advances that the DualSense has made with their triggers. The touchpad has some haptics on it. Like, so when I move my thumb over it, it has some kind of what like Apple calls a taptic engine. It has the same feeling where you feel some really subtle bumps on the finger, so it simulates that you're making some changes there. But one thing I really don't like about the touchpad, I feel like maybe there's something you can buy. I was a bit concerned actually when they first announced it and I saw the prototype and I saw the visuals of it. I was really worried about the texture, and I guess I was right. I don't like this texture at all. Whatever texture that they used on the Steam Deck's touchpad, I think should have been glass. It should have been something like what Apple would use on their MacBooks. I think that's the only surface that I accept. Like this feels so weird to touch. Like the texture is, I mean, I guess some people I guess a lot of people don't mind it. But for me, it's like, I know for a fact that Apple, like for example, Apple would care, because every device that they produce that has the touch, either it's their cell phone, like the touch screen, their trackpads on their MacBooks or the standalone, it's all like that same glass feeling. Like I feel like whichever manufacturer, they don't realize that, they always make that same mistake, and Valve is one of them. So these touchpads would have been awesome if they were glass. So who knows? Maybe they know. Maybe it's another cost issue. Who knows? So, but in terms of usability and stuff, I feel like they're way better than just using the joysticks. Another thing that they added is gyro. There are some OneXPlayers. I think the new Mini has gyro built in, and this Steam Deck also has gyro built in, and it makes use of it. Like which game did I play? I loaded up a game and it automatically. Oh yeah, I think it was Half-Life Episode 2. And as soon as I got into the game, my camera was moving left and right, and I'm like, okay, that's gyro. So I'm in the minority here, but I actually didn't like it because a handheld device, it is on your hand is not stable. I mean, I don't have Parkinson's, I'm not shaking the device, okay, but when I'm holding it and there's some slight movement that happens, and that is translated on the screen the entire time. So after like 10 minutes, I just couldn't take it anymore, so I just switched that off. I just rather use the joystick. And just speaking, so anyway, so before I go off topic, but like the gyro exists on the OneXPlayer, but only on certain version, I think only on the Mini. And I saw someone online, I forgot which YouTuber, but they were showing a clip where they were so geeked out about being able to play Halo or something, like using the gyro. I don't know, like it's not for me. Like it's not me. Like that's why I never even bought a Wii U also. Like like just holding the tablet and like even the Switch, right? Like I don't really like using the gyro. So they say that the way that they advertise it was that Valve advertised it when you aim. So you would use your joystick to aim or your trackpad to aim. Then you would use the gyro to do these micro adjustments so you can do better aim. I don't know, like maybe I'll try it again, maybe something that I need to get used to, but at least on Half-Life, when I tried it on the episode 2, I had to turn off after 10 minutes. It was just too annoying. Like I just want to be using my standard control and feel like I have full control. So going back to the joysticks, that's what I want to talk about next. So for those that watched my first video, one heavy criticism I have, if not the biggest criticism I have with the OneXPlayer, is the analog joysticks. Steam, I don't know what they use, but I think they're way better. Okay, I wouldn't say that they're 100%. I don't think they beat out the PlayStation controller or the Xbox controller, but the OneXPlayer, for example, had I feel like, I mean, I saw people saying 50% dead zone. But I feel like it is 50%. It is that. Whereas on the Steam Deck, it's more like 5 to 10%. So there's still some dead zones. So when I was playing episode 2, Half-Life episode 2, there are some occasions where the aim was a bit annoying too. Like it's not perfect, but maybe that's why they use the gyro thing. But the gyro thing is more like a annoyance to me. So like I just wish that the joystick it's exactly like the PlayStation controller ones, like, or the Xbox controller. It's like I wish I was just like that, but it's still a way bigger improvement. So I can see myself playing some first-person shooters on the Steam Deck. Okay, so what else I can talk about here? Okay, so going to the one thing that really surprised me, another positive on the Steam Deck over the OneXPlayer, is the sound. So I was talking about how you could put that little subwoofer or something to cause like a haptic feeling from the bass. Like maybe it's not translate to real time, but I guess you can somehow make use of the bass, but whatever. But like on the Steam Deck, I was surprised how good the sound was. They have the two front-facing speakers. It's not just normal stereo sound. It feels like there are some spacing. Like I can feel what's that called? There's some. It fills up the room kind of thing. A sound stage, if you will. Like the sound, the sound feels, I wouldn't say surround or 3D, but it has a semblance of that. I mean, I was a PC gamer since the creative Sound Blaster cards with EAX or whatever, and before that I got like I think nobody knows that, but like I got this video sound cards like Real 3D or something, and that gives you this fake 3D effect over a stereo set of speakers. I think the PlayStation 5 used something similar too. They call it the Tempest engine. I don't know what they did, but on the Steam Deck, I feel a bit of that. Like it's pretty good. Like the sound is way better than I expected. At least way better than the OneXPlayer. Like the OneXPlayer sounds like, I don't know, it sounds so bad. It sounds like you buy some cheap $20 Bluetooth speaker. It sounds like that. So, but with the Steam Deck, I can really see myself playing some games, and I would use the audio coming up from the speaker. I would be totally satisfied with that. Yeah, so like it really, okay. So far, it really seems like I prefer the Steam Deck over the OneXPlayer, right? Like, I mean, there's so much to love on it. Like, honestly, like I feel like, as I said, like for the first iteration, Valve did an amazing job. Like, I have to say that I doubted them, okay? Like, because all the other previous hardware release, I mean, I don't have a Valve Index, I don't have the VR. I mean, so I cannot say much about that. I mean, I know that Half-Life Alyx is one of those games that I really want to play at some point, but man, like it's really well thought out. Like I have to commend them. Like the design is really good. And I was talking about on the OneXPlayer where there's some, I mean, overall it looks a very cool device. I really prefer the look of the hardware on the OneXPlayer, but on the OneXPlayer they did some choice that I wouldn't have made if I was designing it. So for example, like I was talking about like the color scheme. I think they need some new other colorways or something more muted, because right now there's some bright orange. I don't think that it's for everyone. And they have the logo like really like right in front of your face underneath the screen. It looks so cheap, and it has like some text which I don't really care about, but whatever. It's just too much. It's a bit busy. It has its charm, but I think that when they make the next version of the OneXPlayer, I think they can do better than that. So if I go back to the Steam Deck, I mean, it's definitely way more tastefully done, right? So they did mention Steam, but it's only on the button to open up Steam. So it's more like a functional placement than anything. You see, like if the OneXPlayer people are listening, look at Apple, right? They're so well known. The logo is so well known. Why don't they just put a big Apple in the front on the screen, right? They don't do that because they don't need to do that, right? The device speaks for itself. So. And plus the OneXPlayer, I guess one more criticism I have for them, the brand needs to change. Like I don't know, maybe it sounds good, but I mean, yeah, it sounds like a mix of Xbox One, anything one something, or OneXPlayer Xbox, and all. Like maybe there's some kind of creative license borrowing. I don't know what is it, but I think that the branding needs to change, man. Instead of OneXPlayer, maybe, I don't know, I'm just throwing out there, maybe you guys can just call it OXP or something. Like, I don't know, something that it's not so random, you know. It's so big, it's so long, it's so not catchy. Even Aya Neo, like I would say that their branding is not that great as well, in my opinion. And there was like another emulation device that's called like AYN Odin or something. These random tech names. Like, feel like you guys should employ some marketing agency from North America or something. Like, just if you're gonna try to sell these devices, like, yeah, like on the worldwide market, I think there needs to be some design philosophy that has to be a bit like it needs a bit more well thought out there. Yeah, so Steam, I think they understand this very well, tastefully done. You have a Steam button on the front, and on the back the Valve emboss, right? It's just, yeah, I think, I don't know, I just think in terms of the visual design, it looks fine, it looks great. Now to the things I don't like about the Steam Deck. So I did mention this on the first video when I focused more on the OneXPlayer. The biggest problem with the Steam Deck, for me, okay, I know that it's not I know it's not an opinion that's shared with everyone, is the crappy display. Okay, yes, I got the 512GB version with the edge thing, like whatever, too. Basically, it's a matte display, right? It just doesn't reflect as much. But that's not the problem. The problem is 7-inch, 720p with shitty color gamut, low brightness. I mean, I have a Switch OLED, and that thing looks way better than this. Okay, so what's the point of having all this power, and then the screen is mediocre? And this is definitely not a point I share with a lot of people. Everybody just like, oh, 720p is enough, 720p is enough. And Bill Gates is like, 16 kilobytes is enough, 16 kilobytes is enough, we'll never need more than that. I don't know, like I just think it's pure bullshit. Like, if you've seen what the OneXPlayer is capable of on the display, you would not agree anymore to what you just said. Like playing some games on, like, these are the same people that praise their 240 frame per second, their master race specs or whatever. Like, it's the same people. And I was saying on the first video, I was talking about this now. I guess I'll talk about this now a little bit. Like they just released this new beta firmware or something as of the recording of this video. I mean, we're on May 2nd. That supposedly gives you a new frame per second cap at 40 FPS. And they're all like, all I see is praise and, oh, it's a game changer, blah, blah, blah. Like, wait, like, didn't you guys like make fun of the consoles for these kind of stuff? Like these level of performance? So I know that it's a handheld, but I just don't know. I just don't think it's, if you're really in the mindset of a PC gamer, you should just look for the for the best, right? For the best specs. And on the OneXPlayer with their much better screen, it's a no excuse, right? People are saying that the reason why they decided on 720p is because as soon as you go, well, first of all, they say who needs more than 720p on a small 7-inch device. And like, honestly, if you guys have seen what the OneXPlayer is capable of, like, definitely you would not say this anymore. And there's no way I can guarantee, I guess once again in this video, that if Valve were to ever release a next version of this, that they would keep it at 720p. Okay, so yes, obviously, if you increase resolution in any game, you would drop performance, and yes, it will eat up more of your battery. I think that's a given. But you are in the PC master race. This should not bother you at all. That you should be able to have the option to, oh, if some game doesn't support 1080p, it's too slow, then I just have to go into the options, dial it back into 720p, and mess with the texture quality, the polygon count, like all these effects, you know, I can turn those off, like, and then you're not limited by the screen. And then those games that are supporting that high res, high FPS, then you have the option to go to that, to bring that game to that next level. Because this is a differentiator between this device and the Switch, for example, right? Like, I open up my Switch OLED, the display looks really nice. The OLED, the color just vibrant, the blacks are very deep. What's restricting the Switch right now is the shitty performance, right? And all those PC ports that play there, it doesn't play well. Well, you have the chance here with the Steam Deck with these amazing specs. Like, why wouldn't you ask for a better display, right? Like, as a consumer, like, if I look at this, I'm paying, I mean, for the 512 gigabytes, I mean, they have that Edge display, which doesn't, for me, it doesn't do much. I much rather had a 1080p on it, right? Like, at least, like, if I had a 1080p on this, I wouldn't complain as much. Like, I pay for the extra and I get a higher res display. And it's up to me as a PC gamer to just lower my res to 720p if it doesn't support it. It's as simple as that. And then some people are complaining about, okay, yeah, I mean, the argument is like, if you do that on a 1080p display screen and then you are running it at 720p, then things would be a bit blurrier. I mean, even if they're right on like a sub-pixel count, like, if there's some merit in that, like, you have the option to go to 1080p. Wouldn't you want that? Like, what, you don't want it? Like, I can tell you that on a lesser processor, like on my OneXPlayer, I have a Intel i7 1195. They have another version that's an AMD 5700, and as of this recording, I think that they have a 5800U. It's Zen free, but it's not RDNA 2. I can tell you that even with that, you can run games at least at 30 FPS or that glorious 40 FPS that you guys are praising easily on a 1080p on a lot of games. Okay, I'm not saying every single game, but on a lot of games. So yeah, this is like the biggest problem with the Steam Deck to me. Other reviewers have other issues with it, but to me, my biggest issue is the display. I mean, you have all this power, but like, it's limited by the shitty display. And then people can be argued, oh, you can, if you really don't like the display that much, just dock it, right? I can buy a dock and dock it, and then you can play with whatever screen. I mean, I know that, no shit, right? But I have a 3090 at home. Why would you want me to carry a 4K monitor or a 1080p monitor around with me, like when I go outside or whatever? Like, you have, I mean, if you're buying this, you have a PC game. You for sure, if you're buying this kind of device, like, you have more than one machine at home that's perform better than this. I'm pretty sure most of the case. Yeah, so I wouldn't make any excuse. I would just say Valve, for the higher tier, just put a 1080p on it or something. But I can guarantee you they would never stick to 720p. I can guarantee that much. Even the Aya Neo, they have this device way more expensive, even more expensive than OneXPlayer. Better processor with the better analog joystick. I liked it. Actually, I liked the hardware design pretty good too. But they stuck at 720p as well. And that's really one of the reasons I didn't buy it. They lost me as a customer really because of the 720p screen. But even them, right? Like they don't have access to RDNA 2. On the next device, on the OLED, supposedly it's a 1080p screen. So, I mean, technology just progresses. I mean, there's no denying that. Like you cannot just make an excuse and be like, 720p is enough, 16 kilobytes is enough, right? That's anytime I see that kind of reasoning, I feel like I don't know what is it, right? There must be some other reason why they would defend it so much. Okay, so that's my biggest gripe with this right now. But I still have to give some more praises, right? So another thing I really like is, I mean, the console-like experience, not the PC experience, the console-like experience of the Steam Deck. So one thing I have to give advantage is the amount of support that this device will get. It's running the SteamOS. It's very easy to upgrade the system software. But the most important thing is how often they do it. Like Valve is taking this seriously, right? So they are constantly releasing updates. On the OneXPlayer, it's total shit, right? It's really just like someone assembled a PC and able to compact it together in this nice form factor. All the drivers on the OneXPlayer, there's no system software. Like I just have to download, like let's say the Iris driver, right? Like I right now I just go to the Intel website and I download the latest drivers from there. Besides that, I don't even want to touch anything else. Like I don't want to go to their shitty website, open up can you imagine on the OneXPlayer they host the drivers in some kind of cloud folder on a OneDrive, Windows, like some cloud folder. Like it's so amateur. Like I understand that they didn't spend the R&D there. But on the Steam Deck, this is what I have to praise them on, is that obviously they have unlimited cache, I guess. They build a very console-like experience, very polished. Yeah, I wish that they don't just call this a PC. I don't see this as a PC. Right now, I see this as a console. I see this as a Steam Pro, a Switch Pro, right? Like, maybe not Switch Pro, more like a Vita 2, maybe. I'm sure Sony can. There's some few things that if PlayStation were to make it, they would do it a bit different. I know that. That's one thing, I guess, if I go back to another dislike, is how they marketed this. I guess, but they have good I guess, in the grand scheme of things, in the marketing for profit, I mean, from that perspective, I think they did a great job. They're selling out these devices. But I think that the messaging is a bit deceptive. The customer will suffer a bit from it, as I see now on the reviews. I mean, I called it a long time ago, which is they sold it as like a PC. They sold this as a PC. Every time someone says something about anything that they have no answer for, oh, just install Windows. I mean, it's on the official videos. And at that point, I know that I saw it a mile away. I mean, they're not optimizing the device for Windows just yet. I mean, no doubt that they would do at some point. But as you can see right now, the drivers as of today, apparently, I mean, I didn't install Windows on mine, so I could be wrong on this, but it's not well supported from what I understand. Even just the messaging around performance, right? Like if you're especially custom architecture, custom hardware, you are targeting a platform, right? So you're building this SteamOS platform on top of the Linux, the software inside out, the hardware inside out. So you build that layer inside out. Just like Apple style, right? Like you are having the software hardware integration. You know what you're doing. So why the hell would you advertise it as, oh, just install Windows? I mean, there is consequences on that, right? Performance will take a hit, experience will definitely not be the same. So yes, I know that you can install Windows, but because of that messaging, even before the device was released, I saw people talking, they regurgitate this. Whenever someone talk about game compatibility and stuff, someone would just be like, oh, you can just install, like the most clever guy ever, like it's like x86, no shit, yeah, you can install Windows. So yeah, big whoop, right? So, but I think that the messaging was a bit deceptive. And the way I was saying it, when I first heard about that, I'm like, I wish I'm proving wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I want to start this device. I can dual boot into Windows. And then I have zero problem with compatibility. I can just install Game Pass and all this. Like the OneXPlayer right now serves that purpose. Yeah, like I mean, the OneXPlayer is my Game Pass machine right now. I mean, all the games I play so far works. I love playing Dead Space 2, System Shock 2 on my OneXPlayer. Like it's just freaking awesome. On the Steam Deck, talking about the gaming experience, honestly, it's that shitty screen. Like I cannot, I have to get back to it once again. It's the shitty screen. I don't know if maybe it's just me, but like I think maybe I'm just tired, so I don't want to just say it, but it freaking hurts my eyes when I play it for some reason. Like I don't know, there are just some games I play on it, I stare at it, I don't know what is it. Like maybe I dial up the, I don't know what is it. I don't know if it's the brightness. I tried dial it down, I don't know what is it, but it was hurting my eyes when I was playing it. Maybe it was small, a bit small. Maybe some of the text was small, so I have to focus to read it. I don't know what is it. But none of this happened when I'm on my OneXPlayer. I really don't know why. Like I if I have an answer, I'll make another video over this topic. I'm not saying that this will happen to you, but to me, I've been playing a bunch of Metal Gear Revengeance. I played some Resident Evil 2. What else did I play? Yeah, I played some Elden Ring. I don't know, for some reason, last 2 times I tried it, I was fatigued. Or maybe I was fatigued, I don't know, maybe I was just tired that day, I don't know. So so overall, like I really like my Steam Deck. I think that it's a very good first iteration of the device. If I was designing this, honestly, they did such a great job. Like honestly, I really thought that I wouldn't like some of the placement of the button. I guess the one that I cannot reach all the time is the bumpers, but just the placement of everything, my fingers laying on every button, it just works. I like the sound, the console-like experience. I think that they did a great job on the first iteration. It's so early on, right? The power of the Steam Deck is because of the Steam library, that you just inherit that library. It's awesome, right? So obviously they're still working on compatibility with a lot of games. I mean, if they were using Windows, obviously by default, like I don't think they would have this problem as much. But yeah, there's just some games that doesn't work also on the Steam Deck. And there are some that I feel like, no, I don't feel like, it's actually what's happening. It's actually quite interesting that there are some pretty well-known games they listed as untested or not compatible or something. And I run it, it runs just fine. So I'm not sure what happened there. So like an example would be Resident Evil 3. Maybe the game was not good enough for them to test. I don't know what is it, but I tried it. It runs perfectly. The control just mapped exactly as on the PlayStation version, like the console version. It just mapped exactly the same way. It runs perfectly. So I don't know, when I start the game, it says unsupported or something like that. I don't get that. And the funny thing is, on Resident Evil 2, it says like partially supported. It was not the same description. So that was strange. Yes. So one thing that I missed was on the OneXPlayer, I was talking about how great of an experience for System. I would call it the System Shock 2 Ultimate Handheld Machine, right? On the OneXPlayer, it's just that good. But I had to use a program called Rewasd, REWASD. On the Steam Deck, this is awesome. They built exactly the same functionality. I don't know who came first, but it's this exact same functionality as Rewasd, but it's built into the Steam OS. So I mean, and that's the thing that's very smart, right? You can download other people's schemes that they set up, controller schemes. On the Steam Deck, so basically the way it works is that you can go through this configuration system, and then you can say, like, you have your standard X, Y, A, B buttons and your bumper triggers and all that. You can map that to anything on the keyboard or anything. So what that means is that if there's any games that doesn't support preset Xbox controller or whatever, you can map it the way you like it. And even if those games that support it, you can remap it the way you like it. So I think that's just a very nice integration. And what I like about it too is that the way they integrate it is very seamless. So you could be playing a game. So for example, like I installed System Shock 2 also on the Steam Deck. And with the Rewasd, it was very cumbersome. Like on the OneXPlayer, was so annoying because there's a button to go on the device to go back to desktop, Windows desktop. So I have to like constantly switch it back and forth. So I have to press it, go to Windows desktop. Then I have to navigate my mouse cursor, like it's so annoying, like over the app, the Rewasd app. Then I have to like map it, then activate the profile, go back into my game, and then try it out, right? On the Steam Deck, I press the Steam button, and then that opens up like some context menu. and from there I can go back to the game details. And on the game details, I just have to tap right, I think once or twice, to get to the controller menu. Then from there, it has all the mapping features. I mean, I think you can switch it to, you know, other presets, or you can just make your own. I really like that. It's just so, I think that's the best they can do. Like maybe they can add another shortcut to, so I don't have to go through 2 different menus, but it's just very well integrated. And after you switch, you make that change, you don't have to reset the game or whatever. You just go back to the game. It's just, so I was really pleasantly surprised about that, and I installed even Command Conquer Red Alert just to try it, and that also worked perfectly. So really big props for Valve for some of these console-like integration, I would like to call it. Like I definitely don't see this as something that, you know, if the PC gamers, they like these, you know what, you don't want to admit it, but you would love the console experience, right? Like there's nothing better than just sitting on your couch, you just want to chill out that day, and I on my DualSense, I press the PlayStation button, turn on the PlayStation. I don't have to set up anything. I press one button, I start, and it just works. I don't have to go to display settings. I don't have to change this and make sure there's a resolution that works best for the game. It's very minimal configuration, and it just works. So I think Valve, what they're doing with the SteamOS is they're actually emulating this, and it's working really well. And I have to give them props for this kind of console-like experience. Like I open up Elden Ring, I open up, I think Ace Combat 7 or something on the Steam Deck, and everything was preset for me just like on the console. I don't have to tinker anything, it just works. And when that happens, I don't feel disconnected from the game. I feel immersed, and I enjoy the game more like this. So whereas on the OneXPlayer, I would call that one more like the real, I would have to do more of that. So like for an example, like I open up Yakuza Like a Dragon, and that one, it's, you know, pretty modern game, nice graphics and stuff like, and I couldn't run it. Like, I mean, the way that the engine is made, I don't know if it's that, but if your computer cannot handle it, it slows down the entire game. So it doesn't skip the frame, but it's like it actually slows the game down. So it's like I was watching some cutscene in slow motion. So I had to actually tinker a lot with the Yakuza settings. I have to bring it down to 720p. I have to turn down a bunch of the settings to medium or lower, and then that fixes it. So I wouldn't exactly call that a nice experience. Maybe some people like that, but I'm not saying that it's annoying, but it takes away from the time that I can actually enjoy the game for the story, for the gameplay. Unless maybe some people call this gameplay, maybe tweaking with the configuration is gameplay. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm not like that. Same thing with the benchmarks, right? It's like I don't want a frame per second indicator when I'm playing game. Like that doesn't help me in any way, shape, or form. It's the experience, right? If I feel I have 100% control over my game, I'm happy, right? So yeah. And is there anything else I want to talk about the Steam Deck? Not really, man. They did really well in a lot of respect. I think even the ordering process, I have to give them props, because like you can only buy one with your Steam account, and your account has to be a certain age. You can only, I think that's such a good system. And I wish that Xbox, PlayStation, they do the same thing, where your purchase is tied to your account and stuff like that, right? Like just to avoid the whole reselling thing, like the whole scalping scene. I think Valve did a really amazing job, especially with what's going on around the world. They're able to deliver this. Honestly, like I know maybe I'm a bit pessimistic on this point of view, but I really expected this system to come in with some kind of defect. Like I don't know why. I don't know why. I feel like once I receive Steam Deck, okay, there's gonna be some light bleed somewhere. Some of the joystick, it's not gonna be, you know, perfect, and maybe one of the buttons will be a bit more mushier than the other. I'm not saying that all the units won't have this problem, but mine came perfect. Like perfect as from their design, right? Like, I mean, I don't like the display, but it's as perfect as I think they want it to be. So again, this is another prop. I don't know if other reviewers talk about these things, but I mean, I don't watch every single review out there. Yeah, so I know that I spoke a lot, and again, I ramble sometimes like this. So this is the style of my videos. I will if there's any missing thoughts, like I will create another video to cover anything that I'm missing. Maybe another retrospective, like maybe another few weeks I'll talk about it again, just to see after I spend more time, maybe I'll like it more, maybe I'll like it less. Yeah, it's just amazing to be a handheld gamer just in 2022, and it's like that Vita dream, right? Like there's a crowd of us that really like the Vita, and we wanted to see a better version of that. And I feel like with these devices, like it's really definitely scratching an itch. So I'm just so happy so grateful that these devices are out and it's on my hands and I can play with them. So yeah, if you really enjoyed this video, this lengthy video, and you please leave some comments about this style of just talking. Like I don't have a script, so I'm just learning this process, of making videos on YouTube. If you guys have any suggestions for me, anything that would help me out, definitely would appreciate it. And yeah, please subscribe, if you guys want to show some support, and if you like this style video, because I intend to do more, and just something that's different from other tech channels. I'm not trying to be different, but I'm just trying to be me. So I would not only talk about these gaming devices, I also like to talk about other tech or design related things. So not just tech, anything that I can really provide my opinion on. I will play with my Steam Deck more, and I definitely would give more insight and more feedback as to what I think about these devices a bit later on. So yes, thank you very much for watching, and see you guys next time. Thank you.